So Peter, thank you so much for joining me today. One thing that I had no knowledge of before meeting you is the Cape Cod Museum Trail. Tell me a little bit about the Cape Cod Museum Trail.
Well, I want you to know that I apologize that you didn't know about it. That's our fault, that we're not getting enough information out. But the Cape Cod Museum Trail is a website. It's a virtual trail of the museums on Cape Cod. And I ask this question of everybody, whether you're on the Cape or off the Cape, when you say, how many museums do you think there are on Cape Cod? And people come up with the JFK Museum right next door, and the Heritage Museum, and several others. And but give me an idea what you think the number would be. And we get around 10, 12, 15, whatever it happens to be.
That would have probably been my guess.
And it's a reasonable guess, because when we started it, that's all I thought. But we have now put up our 62nd museum on the website, and I say this to everybody: is definitions of museums can be tight or a little liberal, and I think when we talk about the cultural side of it, you want to be a little liberal, and so the 62nd museum has gone up, and we run this spectrum from the Heritage Museum in Sandwich to the other end, which is the Dennis Mann's House in Dennis, which is open 2 days a week in the summertime and run by volunteers and funded out of the town budget. So if you take a spectrum like that, you can put a lot in the middle. And we come up with different ones. I believe the 62nd one was the Sturgis Library, which in itself is a museum piece. It's absolutely a museum piece. There are a lot of historic societies on Cape Cod, and several of them have their own buildings, and others are in the process of acquiring. So in a way, I consider those museums as well. So there is quite the spectrum of where it goes. Now, if you consider that word museum, and then add into that art galleries, museums in their own right, you have cultural centers, as we have right here in Hyannis, another one down in Yarmouth. So they are galleries as well, is where some of the stuff goes, some of the programs go. So it's been and I say that now just when I ask you how many, because when we started the program 3 years ago, certainly, we could start out with 12 museums, and it's easy enough to be able to print a map and even print business cards with the map on it. And then when 12 went to 16, and 16 went to 24, and 24 went to, you can't keep printing new maps. It's just impossible. So it's 100% virtual on the website, capecodmuseumtrail.com.
Which is great. It's a great resource for individuals who, even if you've lived here, obviously you asked me how many museums are there, and I came nowhere near the guess at the number. So this is even great for whether you're a tourist visiting our area for the first time, or even if you're an individual who just wants to explore your own neck of the woods, because we can learn so much more about it. I'm excited too, you're actually having a festival of museums. I'm excited to learn more about this event. This is happening May 6th at the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Tell me a little bit about the Festival of Museums.
Well, what we use the Museum Trail for is to create the awareness of what's available on Cape Cod and the culture, and making it easy, just as you said, for folks to find out what's going on. The Festival of Museum, this is our first. You're absolutely right, over the community center, and we have at this point in time, it's 51 exhibitors. We have room for 60, so we're getting pretty close to the end. 35 of the museums have taken space, and if you've ever been to an exhibit hall type effect, that's what it is. So everybody has a table and chairs, and they can bring whatever they have that identifies that museum. There's a marketing subcommittee that we've created from the Museum Trail. All the executive directors and folks from the museum, we get together. We try to get together every other month and just talk about the Museum Trail. And from that has developed a marketing subcommittee. And two things that the marketing subcommittee did was the past 2 Septembers have become Cape Cod Museum Month. And we create, again, the awareness. Well, they wanted to do something a little different, and these shoulder months, right? And you're very familiar with that down the Cape, the tourism and then the shoulder months. That helps out a lot in the shoulder month of September, though they don't need a lot of help. September's wonderful on the Cape, am I right?
It's my favorite month.
It's tremendous. Going into the season, So we planned this for May. We will bring down, admission is free, open to the public, everybody come. We have been advertising off Cape. We have a billboard on Route 195 in New Bedford that we use a lot for First Citizens. We put the Festival of Museums on it. It's in a lot of the local newspapers. It has been on radio, pretty well advertised for on Cape and off Cape. And again, it's to create the awareness. So the museums will come and they'll do their exhibiting and things along those lines. But we also have built in opportunity for some speakers and some events.
And those speakers, I have got to tell you, are very exciting. I can't wait. Some of the events you have lined up. Tell me a little bit about Anthony Amore.
Anthony Amore is the author of the latest museum on, and folks around here will remember the Gardner Museum heist. Multi-million dollars worth of paintings that were stolen that night and have never been recovered. So it is considered to be the world's greatest art heist, and it's never been recovered. So he has theories, and he's coming down, and he's wrote a book, and he's coming down to talk about that. I think it blends in very well for the Festival of Museums.
Absolutely.
As one of the speakers.
And I like too how the Festival of Museums has really included events that adults can appreciate. So I think I'd love to hear him speak and tell about that. But then there are also really fun activities for the kids. There's a Lego challenge and a yo-yo guy coming. So really a fun time for everybody.
So who doesn't play with Legos, right? So you see it with children, grandchildren, whatever it is. And I know that another event coming up on the Cape from the home builders and renovators, they have their annual Lego building contest. So this might be a practice run for some folks. Now the yo-yo guys. So I'm very interested in this for a couple of reasons. One is I don't see a lot of kids with yo-yos unless it's video yo-yos. But it's a skill. It's a tremendous skill. And I'm very interested to see, is that going to draw the kids or is that going to draw the adults?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, it could be very, very, very talented.
Well, we're very excited about the event. Thank you so much for joining us and telling us everything we need to know. We can go. What is the website to learn more information?
The website, it's very easy and it just carries on. CapeCodMuseumTrail.com.
Wonderful.
And when you go there, you'll see the Festival Museum, that event, and you just continue down to what it actually is, the museum trail with the 62 museums and listing of all the events.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for joining me and telling me all about it today.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
Pleasure to meet you. My guest today, Peter Muse. He is the President and CEO of First Citizens Federal Credit Union.